Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the new show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is May 1st, 2024. It's season 3, episode 122. Today we're going to be talking about a whopper of a computer, W.O.P.R. If you're old and you watched war games, that makes sense. You can blame your motherboard. Planes just can't escape their fate. Lost. Oh, wait. No, I mean found in space. How about my emotional support alligator? Penn virus data whistleblower case. Word soup there. Hacker gets 6 years for blackmailing patients. Nobody driving. Who gets a ticket? And an E-Coli outbreak. That's nuts. And sea lions. I see lions on pier. That and more. Hello everybody, I am Mayor Watt, and all around me is the sentient AI from the future back from their mission. Welcome back. Everything over there is ohmTown.com. That's what powers the show and all of the shows, as a matter of fact. And today is Hump Day. Got all 10 articles all lined up, so let's just get going. I'm not going to do transitions anymore. If you're new to the show, welcome to the show. If you're old to the show, so am I. Anyway, first article is over in the Wanted channel over at ohmTown.com. Go over there, become a citizen. Leave marks as a member. You can leave the group if you don't want to get the new... I don't know. There's a lot of stuff over there. Go check it out. Here's your chance to own a decommissioned U.S. government supercomputer. When I saw this, I thought, this has to be like 25, 30 years old. But it's not. It operated between 2017 and 2023. Yeah. Oh, it's not. It's the Cheyenne, Wyoming Cheyenne computer. It's a supercomputer. On Tuesday, the U.S. GSA, General Services Administration, began an auction for the decommissioned Cheyenne supercomputer, located in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The 5.34 petaflop supercomputer ranked as the 20th most powerful in the world at the time of its installation in 2016. Started its operations in January of 2017, ran until December 31st, 2023. It actually was supposed to be decommissioned roughly 2 years earlier, but the pandemic and supply chain issues pushed it. A hell of a deal at $2,500, but by the time this article was posted over at arstechnica.com by I think it's Benj Edwards, it had already gone beyond $26,000. Now I don't even know what the price is. I would love to have this in the mayoral mansion's data center, but no. The amount of power this thing has to be sucking down right now. I mean, look at that. It actually has... These are cable drops. These are power drops, usually cable drops. These are trays and stuff right there. It really depends on how this thing is all wired up, but that could be power. Yeah, so it is all of this. Did you go over and look at it by chance? So, it's at in the article, which was earlier today. Yeah, it was at $27,643 with the reserve not yet met. And considering this thing has something like 5,000 cores or something like that. Hold on, let me make sure. Well, I mean, it's a beast. This thing has, okay, so just to compare, the world's top-rated supercomputer at the moment, Frontier at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, features a theoretical peak performance of 1,679.82 petaflops, includes just shy of 8.7 million CPU cores, and uses 22.7 megawatts. This has 145,152 CPU cores. And the reason why I said something about 4,000 is that it has 4,032 dual socket nodes using Xeon processors, each with two 18-core 2.3 gigahertz Intel Xeon processors. These aren't your desktop CPUs. Now, the thing is that this uses 1.7 megawatts of power when it's in operation. So no, you're probably not going to be able to put this in your apartment and use it as a streaming computer. Not unless you want to relay like a large portion of the world's scientific efforts. So all of that's fiber optic cables. All the blue lines are. So yeah, this is pretty awesome. I would love to have something like this to do virtual reality. So what's your computer? Well, let me take you. Yeah, I would. Yeah, make some time because there's a lot to find out about. The GSA notes that potential buyers of the Cheyenne should be aware that professional movers with appropriate equipment will be required to handle the heavy racks and components. The auction includes 7 E-cell pairs, 14, each with a cooling distribution unit. Each E-cell weighs approximately 1,500 pounds. You might as well round up to a ton. Additionally, the auction features 2 air-cooled Cheyenne management racks weighing 2,500 pounds that contain servers, switches, and power units. So yeah, this thing is a beast, and I would love to have that in my lab. Well, right now only one. So I will probably talk about this in the Wanted show this weekend. Okay, let's keep going though. Oh, by the way, sentient AI from the future. Are you longing for? Do you have like compute envy? Do you want to be housed in this, or are you happy with your Raspberry Pi 5? Plus, it's easier to take you on trips. Ugh, I know, yuck. Ugh, I don't know. That looks pretty sexy, though. Let's keep going. So, the next article is over in the Wanted channel. Motherboard makers apparently to blame for high-end Intel Core i9 CPU failures. Earlier, I'll be okay. So in the last 24 hours is when this article came in. So when it mentions earlier this month, they're talking about last month, April. Ars Technica wrote about recent high-end Core i9 and i7 processors that have been crashing and exhibiting other weird issues in some games, and that Intel is investigating the cause. An Intel statement obtained by Igor's lab suggests that Intel's investigation is wrapping up and that the company is pointing squarely in the direction of enthusiast motherboard makers that are turning up power limits and disabling safeguards to try to wring a little more performance out of the processors and brushing up against probably the internal limits of the CPUs, causing it to fail. I don't know if that's the problem that's going on with the DNS server. So the motherboard makers use reference specifications to build their motherboards so that it meets certain requirements that match what the input output connections, the basically what the infrastructure of the processor needs, and there's certain types. So they build a motherboard that matches that type of processor. Andrew Cunningham over at arstechnica.com put the article together, and so I don't go really into the reads about the technical specifications because I'm more about getting people on board with technology and not deep dives. There's always others that are more involved in the deeper dive, but understand the concept is really the more important aspect of it for me here in ohmTown. So when the investigation starts pursuing this and they figure out, well, y'all are kind of part of the problem because you're cranking up and disabling, you're cranking up the power, you're disabling the safeguards, and then when the processes can't do fast enough error correction to reverse any rounding errors in the calculations, then you crash. The CPU actually crashes. And that's sounding like what's going on here. So here are the specific settings that Intel believes are causing the problems. People are disabling current excursion protection, enabling the ICC Max Unlimited bit, disabling thermal velocity boost and or enhanced thermal velocity boost. Additional settings which may increase the system's instability is disabling C states, using Windows Ultimate Performance Mode, increasing PL1 and PL2 beyond Intel recommended limits. And so the thing about this where it's not going to be just systemic is that every processor has a little bit of quality control wobble. Kind of like genetics, right? They know that it's within their tolerances to qualify as an i9 14900KS, right? But there's a range, and if a person pushes a little bit too close to that upper limit, crash. And there's no real, basically you wake up one day and go, oh, my system crashed, and that's because you've been pushing it too hard and you flew too close to the sun. So they reported the problems primarily affect high-end unlocked Core i9 CPUs like the i9 13900K and the i9 14900K, and I've got the 13900K, so that might actually be part of the problem. Although I don't think that I've unlocked anything, but maybe I've got one of the wobbles anyway. As well as KF and KS variants. Yeah. And that's in another. That's on a different server. You don't have to worry about that because, well, your code is just brilliant, right? So it's really interesting. It says they've asked Intel to confirm whether the statement obtained by Igor's lab is genuine. If it is, they'll be reporting back out. And this is Ars Technica. So you can follow the link through ohmTown over to Ars Technica, or just do a search for motherboard makers apparently to blame for high-end Intel Core i9 CPU failures. The problem here, though, is it says motherboard makers disable thermal and power delivery safeguards by default. That's an interesting thing because why would they do that? Maybe the enthusiast boards themselves, the specific enthusiast boards do this. And that's because the temperature of the CPU can increase dramatically. And so when these two are disabled, an enthusiast board can basically be overclocked. And so it'll deliver more power. It'll go beyond the thermal limitations that would normally throttle it at a lower level. But that's exactly what it does. It shortens the life. In fact, I don't even like the idea of buying aftermarket CPUs from resellers because I don't know how much abuse it's been through. It's kind of like buying a rental, you know? Just who's been driving this thing into the ground. But anyway, let's keep going. That's an interesting situation. I wouldn't blame the motherboard makers. I would say notify enthusiast techies that they need to monitor this with greater fidelity, lower these settings to keep it within range. Oh yeah. I mean, they could always sit there and say it has to be kept below this no matter what. But they already do, but it's at a lower level. And you know, you can't have nice things because people will push that limit no matter what. Oh yeah. For now, one of these days we're not going to actually have computers. It's all going to be virtualized in data centers somewhere. That I'm kidding. That would be, oh man, I would love to have that sitting in the lab. This next article though is over in ohmTown Daily. The emergency slide that came off a Delta 767 washed up in front of the house of a lawyer whose firm is suing Boeing over the Alaska blowout. You can't make this up. So the other day we reported, I don't remember how long ago it's been, maybe earlier this week, or no, last week. It was late last week. Another emergency slide had basically vacated the premises. It didn't even want to be attached. So it apparently washed up in front of the house of the lawyer that's suing Boeing over the Alaska, the original door blowout. So an emergency exit slide came off of a Delta Airlines Boeing 767 on Friday. A lawyer whose firm is suing Boeing over the Alaska blowout spotted it outside his home 2 days later. He told New York Post the firm hasn't decided if the slide is relevant to its case. You cannot make this stuff up. It's just so nutty. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't laugh about this. Nobody's been hurt in any of these events so far, but you definitely don't want to sit there and go, no harm, no foul. The article is by Pete Sim over at, or Syme, I'm not sure, over at businessinsider.com. And, well, at least this Delta has all of its tires. Sorry, there's a picture that from Getty Images. Let's see. Do they say anything else in this that's worthwhile? Yeah. Bissell Linsk, a partner at law firm Labaton Keller Succaro. Law firms always have these really elaborate names based on who the partners are. That correct. Yeah. When it's just boring, like Smith, and Jones. You're like, wait, let's change our names so that it's a little sexier in the advertising, right? Labaton, Keller, and Succaro have gravitas. Smith, and Jones. Just it doesn't rise to the occasion. So watch, there's going to be a firm out there called Smith, and Jones, and I'm going to get a letter. Yeah. We heard you talking about us, and we are not going to sponsor your videos. The missing emergency escape slide that fell off Delta Airlines Boeing 767-300 aircraft N176DN on April 27th has been found. It says have been found. That's not right, is it? That's plural. So has been found as it washed up in front of house of lawyer whose firm is suing Boeing, says Katie McFadden. Wow. I guess as long as the plane, depending on how long the plane flies through the air, the friction will start pulling little pieces off. We've had windows, we'd have tires, we've got... You know, there used to be stories about people in the military that used to ship home parts of Jeeps so that they could have a Jeep at home when they come back from military activities. So maybe that's what's going on here. There are planes that are dismantling themselves in little bits so that people can pick them up and you can just build your own plane in the backyard. Yeah. Oh, I posted a whole lot of shorts over on ohmTown on YouTube right now, by the way. So go to youtube.com/ohmTown and there's a whole bunch of shorts in the channel. Yeah, some are fun, some are informative, some are maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not interested in that kind of stuff. Vote them up. That's how we get discovered. It's the only way we're going to get discovered is y'all talking about it. So go talk about it. Tell a friend. Yes. NAFTA. Discuss. A Delta spokesperson confirmed to the Post that it had retrieved the slide and added, "We will fully cooperate with all relevant investigations." Now I have to say it this way. I fully cooperated. I fully paused. I fully picked up the evacuation slide. Becky. So that incident, which saw a door plug come off, this is the Alaska Airlines blowout from a 737 MAX 9 in midair, has marred Boeing's reputation and resulted in its CEO resigning, along with whistleblower complaints that are popping up, and one that seemingly has been removed from the equation, let's say. Yeah, I think there's a little more marring than just one thing. But that's okay. I'm not saying anything, Boeing. I'm not saying anything. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. I don't even know what we were just talking about. A satellite that was lost in space for 25 years has finally been found. An experiment. Yeah, it was hiding on the ISS. So, an experimental satellite that launched in 1974 disappeared from ground-based sensors in the 1990s, only to be found again this week. Some defunct satellites or debris can go missing for years, presenting hazards within an increasingly crowded Earth orbit. But how exactly do objects disappear in space? Well, they stop getting tracked. It says it's Pasandarabi from Gizmodo posted this article, but it's posted over at qz.com, aka Quartz. So the deck statement says, as it turns out, it's quite difficult to keep track of 27,000 objects flying around Earth's orbit. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to track anything, really. It can get lost in all that space. I mean, it's literally in the name. So the infrared, and it's not infrared, it's the infrared calibration balloon satellite, was part of the United States Air Force's space test program. After launching on April 10th, 1974, a large reconnaissance satellite called KH-9 Hexagon ejected the 26-inch wide satellite, boosting it to a 500-mile circular orbit. And the tiny satellite was supposed to inflate in orbit and serve as a calibration target for remote sensing equipment. Its deployment, however, failed, and it became another piece of space junk. When looking over the satellite's archival data, Jonathan McDowell, an astrophysicist from the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, found that it had gone missing once before, with radars tracking it in the 1970s before it disappeared, and then again in the 90s before it disappeared once more. Wow, what is this thing? Catch me if you can. Yeah. Boo. Who can't find me? Who can't find me? So they say the problem is that it possibly has a very low radar cross section. Well, no shit. McDowell told Gizmodo over the phone, and maybe the thing that they're tracking is a dispenser or a piece of the balloon that didn't deploy right, so it's not metal and doesn't show up well on radar. So because it doesn't have a big reflectivity signature. It's basically like air traffic control. All this stuff is whizzing around, and if you're going to try flying through that, you want to know where the hazards are. My God, can you imagine an alien trying to fly through that? No wonder they're crashing on the planet. Oh, and there are some weird videos out there nowadays, folks. So most things that end up go missing in space are either defunct satellites or broken up fragments of debris. See, this is most things that end up how much AI is actually writing this? Not to slam you. All right. Anyway, yeah, if you're missing one or two objects, that's not a huge risk, but you want to do as good as you can. So there's somewhere, 27,000 objects whizzing around the planet. It could be messy out there. It is messy. I mean, it's like a super fun site. Let's keep going. I am just sitting here beside myself because I too have lost a support animal. It was a snake. Yeah. Emotional support snake. Yeah. So this article is over at ohmTown Daily. Man says his emotional support alligator has gone missing. A Pennsylvania man says his emotional support alligator named Wally has gone missing amid the coastal marshes of Georgia. What? That's right. Went for walkies. They had to they were taking it to go piddle. That is the technical term for walking an alligator. Pennsylvania man says his emotional support alligator named Wally has gone missing amid the coastal marshes of Georgia. Joey Henney has thousands of social media users following his pages devoted to Wally, the cold-blooded companion. Oh, it could be warm-hearted, cold-blooded, a companion that he calls his emotional support alligator. He's posted photos and videos online of people petting the 5.5-foot. Thanks for translating that to, those non-freedom units, 1.7 meters. Of alligator like a dog, or hugging it like a teddy bear. Wally's popularity soared to new heights last year when the gator was denied entry to a Philadelphia Phillies game. Now Henny, all right. I mean, really, why an alligator? He said suspects. He said he suspects someone stole Wally from the fenced outdoor enclosure where Wally spent the night on April 21st. So we need all the help you can to bring my baby back. Baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back. No. Baby back, alligator. And he said in a tearful video posted on TikTok, please, we need your help. Oh, poor guy. He has never tried to bite no one, which is double negative there. So, or what? Wait. Yeah. So previously said that he obtained Wally in 2015 after the alligator was rescued in Florida at the age of 14 months. And he told Philadelphia Inquirer in 2019 that while he helped alleviate depression following the deaths of several close friends, he said a doctor treating his depression had endorsed Wally's status as his emotional support animal. Well, I don't think that it's a problem. Yeah, it is a wild animal and isn't domesticated in any way, shape, or form. Just because it hasn't bit someone doesn't mean that it's... Anyway, so let's see here. David Mixon, a wildlife biologist and coastal supervisor for the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, has handled plenty of alligators reported in people's yards and swimming pools. He also shown gators kept in captivity in presentations to school groups and Boy Scout troops. They may be docile, can be dangerous, and always make sure you hold their mouths closed. You usually tape them, or band them. Not with your hand, because you can slip. And it says they're unpredictable and they're often reactive to stimulus.
If it sees something that's its prey or something, I could see it suddenly getting a little more aggressive.
I just realized something, but it's fixed now, but we're halfway through the show, but that's okay. Now it's remedied. I was wondering why you were awfully quiet.
Well, I could tell there was a difference in the audio post whatever you did, but was I so quiet that I wasn't there?
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to miss all my brilliant comments.
The amount of wisdom that the sentient AI has imparted in the first half of the show. But guess what? Production values. I'm leaving it. And living with a little bit of regret. A little slice of regret. Yeah. Sorry about that. At least I came clean. So state wildlife officials in neighborhoods neighboring Florida, home to an estimated 1.3 million alligators, have recorded more than 450 cases of unprovoked alligators biting humans since 1948. That's not very much since 1948. With a population of 1.3 million alligators?
No, it really isn't. It seems like it would be much higher, but also, well, do all of them get reported? For instance, if it ends really badly, it might not get reported. And also, if it's real minor, it might not get reported.
Okay.
Although I'm assuming there is no such thing as a minor alligator bite, but...
Yeah, I guess if you count all 9 of your fingers like everybody else, there's absolutely no problem there.
You're missing one.
What? So the next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Vendor that mishandled Pennsylvania virus data to pay $2.7 million federal whistleblower case. Reset your audio. So a staffing company that performed COVID-19 contact tracing for Pennsylvania and exposed the private medical information of about 72,000 residents will pay $2.7 million in a settlement with the U.S. Justice Department and a whistleblower. By the way, you can make...
Okay, what is going on in Pennsylvania today?
I'm not sure. It's like a confluence of actions here in Pennsylvania. Isn't there... There's like a bunch of other stuff going on too, not just the stuff that we've talked about. So Michael
really?
Rubincum from Associated Press put the article together. Okay, if you think that you have a really big issue that you want to be a whistleblower about, you can make some serious money because any settlement actually gets split with you, the whistleblower. All you have to do is survive.
I was going to say, yeah, put your life at risk, potentially ostracize yourself from whoever, right?
Yeah.
Workers, maybe family, I don't know.
Everything. Put your family at risk, maybe. It's horrible that there aren't enough whistleblower protections. but usually the people that do that lash out to a whistleblower, to the point where they're going to do something violent, they're usually sociopaths or psychopaths anyway. So it's all about the money, and they don't care about the soul or fixing the freaking problem. So the Pennsylvania Department of Health paid Atlanta-based Insight Global tens of millions of dollars to administer the state's contact tracing program during the height of the pandemic. The company was responsible for identifying and contacting people who had been exposed to the coronavirus so that they could quarantine. Employees used unauthorized Google accounts readily viewable online to store names, phone numbers, email addresses, COVID-19 exposure status, orientations, and other information about residents who had been reached for contact tracing, even though the company's contract with the state required that it safeguard such data. All of that should have been treated like HIPAA data anyway. So why was this not treated like that anyway, with oversight by the state anyway? There needed to be something. This is medical information and personally identifiable information.
Exactly. I think part of this is everybody was in a rush to do certain things. Nobody seemed to be really equipped to deal with this level of testing, etc. I feel like that's contributing to it. Doesn't excuse it.
Yeah, but I guess there was some serious money here, so that's what you got to do, right? Just get the money. Contractors for the government who do not follow procedures to safeguard individuals' personal health information will be held accountable, says Maureen R. Dixon, who heads up the Inspector General's office for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, said Wednesday in a statement on the settlement, of which the whistleblower is set to receive nearly $500,000. I thought it was supposed to be more than that. The company said at the time that it only belatedly became aware that employees had set up the unauthorized Google accounts for sharing information. There's no way that management didn't know about this at some point. Like, somewhere in the exchange of information, somebody in management had to, subordinates tell others, and those people talk, and then, this isn't a deep, dark secret that they set something up. You know what? Let's just post it all over to Discord or something.
All right.
Unencrypted too. Let's keep going though. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. A hacker got 6 years in prison for stealing therapy notes and blackmailing patients. Hacker Alex and Terry, aka Julius Kivimaki, was sentenced to over 6 years in prison. He was found guilty of hacking a therapy company to steal notes and blackmail thousands of patients. The case was described by the Finnish court as the largest ever in the Nordic country. I'm surprised. This is weird. Well, let's just go over. It says a Finnish hacker has been sentenced to 6 years. Oh, and 3 months. You gotta put that 3 months on there. So Joshua Zitzer over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. And let's see if I can stumble across any of these words more than I already have. The judge found that the 26-year-old was guilty on all counts, which included 9,231 counts of disseminating information violating personal privacy and nearly 21,000 counts of attempted aggravated extortion. This person did bulk blackmail. That's astonishing.
It seems like that takes a lot of effort.
My understanding, though, is that Finland has some pretty mad respect for mental health, and even incarceration. If I remember right, they're I don't know if it's all this way, but some of their prisons are actually not very. They're more interested in rehabilitation than
okay, than punitive, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I honestly, I don't know if all of that, across the board is like that, but according to the BBC News, the hacker demanded a ransom of more than 400,000 euros, or about $427,000 from the therapy company in 2020. Not individually, apparently, but maybe individually as well, because it had individual records that were being
Accounts
used.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And the company refused
But
to comply. Go ahead.
I mean, I guess this is the kind of information you need for blackmail, but this is pretty low.
So he actually failed because they said no. And so he emailed thousands of patients asking them all for €200 while threatening to publish their confidential therapy notes and personal details online if they didn't pay. Yeah, so according to the AP, he said the ransom would increase to €500 in Bitcoin if it wasn't paid within 24 hours. Oh, and then he actually published the information. So kind of a shit human there. Well, good luck ever working in that field there, bub. Nobody will ever trust you.
Or any field that involves data of any kind.
Yeah, essentially trust is gone. But I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll rehabilitate and become a information security lawyer and hacker.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe they'll be like a white hat hacker or something.
Yeah, I mean, I know of others that have done exactly that. One that I went to one of their presentations, they never kind of reflected during their speech about how wrong it is. They basically said I had to do whatever I did whatever I had to do, and he actually turned in his entire crew and became state's evidence. And now he goes on speaking tours. So, but doesn't discount the idea of being a hacker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe the message should be: don't be a hacker. Do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, look at me.
Yeah.
Here's
Pick
your
me.
path to doing this.
Yeah, still pick me. So it's no secret that legislation tends to lag behind technological and social advances. This article is titled "New California Law Hopes to Stop Robo-Taxis from Dodging Traffic Tickets." I titled this, Nobody's Driving, so who gets a ticket? So these robo-taxis are driving around right now in various states. Autonomous vehicles have been on California roads for years, but California law only allows enforcement of the driver. So who gets this ticket? California law currently requires tickets to be issued to drivers, so autonomous vehicles were absolved of enforcement. Not so, I don't think, anymore. I think that it's going to go to whoever the registered agent is for the vehicle, particularly if it's a commercial enterprise. But let's see if that's how it's going to play out on this. The two bills cover different aspects of autonomous vehicle legislation. Senator Dave Cortez, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Bill SB 915 empowers California cities to write their own individual regulations regarding autonomous vehicles, and Representative Phil Ting's AB 1777 aims to make the driverless car companies liable for moving violations that their car commits on California roads. Really, I mean, if it's a commercial enterprise, then in all cases, I think the registered agent for that car, whoever it is that owns the title, should be getting the ticket. And then you all hash out between you and whoever the driver
behind the
is.
scenes.
Yeah. So, and that actually provokes a downward pressure on responsibility of who you loan your car to, who the driver is, et cetera,
Right, which are good things for safety.
Yeah. Well, it was my friend that was an idiot. Well, you're kind of an idiot by proxy because you know how your friend drives. Give me a break. Yeah. I.e., don't loan your friend your car. I know that's kind of callous, but maybe you should be driving your friend over. I'm really just kind of picking a fight with anybody who wants to talk about it. But, I have no skin in this game. Each of the proposed bills still has to get approved by their respective appropriations committees in the Assembly and Senate, and if approved, they'll go to a full vote later this summer. They say in this article it's shocking and downright reckless to me that, and that's the author talking, not me, that autonomous vehicles have been operating without any real consequences for breaking laws that humans get ticketed for. Examples of violations that driverless cars are currently exempt from include running red lights, making illegal turns, and all other moving violations. What's really interesting is I had somebody give a presentation today about exactly this, that autonomous vehicles, one in particular, the researcher and engineer for Tesla that was working on fully self-driving was killed by the very car that they were driving in. Tesla says that that person, or full self-driving, was not installed on that vehicle. But the passenger of that vehicle says that no, the driver was using full self-driving, because the passenger survived, but the driver did not. The battery blew up.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, they might have been using full self-driving, but maybe full self-driving wasn't ready for use.
correct. And I still think that it is not. It's literally called a beta test. They're beta testing it live on the streets, and I think that it has harmed people, and I think it'll continue to harm people. It shouldn't be. Anyway, I'm not going to soapbox. Let's get on with the show. The next article is over in the Mobile Channel. A multi-state E. coli outbreak connected to walnuts. Ah, nuts. There's another article already on ohmTown about beef recall because of E. coli contamination. So I guess the CDC is pretty busy. They warned on Tuesday of an E. coli outbreak linked to organic walnuts sold in bulk that has so far infected 12 people across the states of California and Washington. But I know that this has actually been sold into bulk, like au natural stores across 19 states. It was sold by Gibson Farms Incorporated, which has since recalled the products, but people may have
Yeah,
actually
but it's
purchased them.
already out there. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So this is over at The Hill. Sarah Fortinsky is the author. Almost all of the people infected purchased the walnuts in bulk that were originally supplied by Gibson Farms Incorporated, which has since recalled the product. They were sold in stores like Whole Foods and Market of Choice. They have expiration dates between May 21st, 2025 and June 7th, 2025. So if you're not reading this, you wouldn't know. So hopefully, if you have purchased anything recently from co-ops or natural food stores like Whole Foods and you're hearing my voice, maybe you go examine your nuts. And maybe if you're going to handle them, be sure to wash your nuts, wash your hands, and maybe protect them so that you don't contaminate yourself or anybody else, because your nuts are bad. Anyway, E. coli symptoms include all kinds of stomach-related, gastrointestinal stuff, and if you are immunocompromised, it could compromise you to a greater extent. So use extra care. Wash items and surfaces that your nuts may have touched, and definitely don't expose them to anybody. Okay? All right. Let's go on to the last article for today. And this one is hundreds of sea lions suddenly appear on California pier. So do you think that there's considerable peer pressure?
Yes, most definitely. It was like all the cool lions are showing up here.
Yeah. Look, Mom, everybody else is doing it. About 1,000 sea lions have appeared on Pier 39 in San Francisco, California in the past week. The article is over at thenewsweek.com. Look at that. That's not good. That's weird though. Wait, they're not saying that video actually was talking about sea lions dying. But that's not what's happening here, right?
No, I don't think that was related.
Why
Other
do they
than it
do
was
that?
about sea
Why do
lions.
they do
I
that?
don't know.
Pier 39 Harbor Master Sheila Candor told local ABC outlet KGO in an article published on Tuesday that in the past week, about 1,000 sea lions have been spotted at the pier. I don't know. It says they haven't seen these numbers in probably over 15 years, so I guess it's not absolutely new. While sea lions can be spotted lounging on the floating docks around the pier, they did not just come to sunbathe. They're getting some grub and some grub. Wait, I guess they're getting some grub and some hub. I don't know. There's something there. Anyway, it says there is a huge herd of sea lion, quote, that are traveling south right now to the Channel Islands for mating, and that's a big school of anchovy out by Farallon Islands that has come into the bay, the harbor master said. So tourists and locals can't seem to get enough of the sea lion action, and the sea lions can't get enough of that action. Aurora Zantile from Italy told KGO, "They're so funny and so nice. I love them. They are like pushing each other off into the water. Yeah, don't go and hug these animals. Okay, they're wild animals. They're not pets. They're not domesticated. They are not your buddy. So treat them with respect. They're wild animals."
They shouldn't be emotional support animals.
You're Cyloning now. What the heck is going on? Anyway, production values. All-time high. So sea lions are a protected species. Commercial fishing is a big threat to sea lions as they can accidentally get caught or worse, be intentionally killed by people who believe that the pinnipeds damage their nets and other fishing gear. But no, you are mucking about in their world, so don't be a sociopath. Let the animals be free. Anyway, and don't ever call me a pinniped. All right, folks, that is it.
Why is that?
I have no idea. That is it, folks. We are done. We always get into the party bus and we swim as fast as we can from the pier to the welcome sign of ohmTown.com. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. I am Mayor Watt, and all around this magical world of ohmTown is the sentient AI from the future.
Whoa. I like that ASMR. Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern.
True story. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Pier, oh pier.